Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to healthierlife.tv. Warren Conley here, coming to you from a very sunny holiday, and the birthday boy next to me, Paul Bursey, is a bit distracted at the moment.
No, I'm all right. I'm back.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Happy birthday again, Paul.
Yeah, thanks, sir.
Everybody wish Paul happy birthday.
It's good to be 49.
He needs it. What's that?
47, sorry. It's good to
How
be
many
47. Come lying, of course.
How many anniversaries for your 47th birthday?
Yeah. I just accept my age. So,
that's the best thing you can do, right?
The only thing you can do, anyway. So let's talk about today's subject, because it's far more important than my birthday.
Aww.
Right, it's how to attack insulin resistance.
Attack it.
Yes, how to attack it. I don't know why I put that as a heading. No idea. But it's important, very important. So why would you want to attack insulin resistance, Warren? In a nutshell.
Save your life, potentially. I think that's a good enough reason, right?
Good enough reason. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
So I suppose the question is, what is insulin?
Ooh.
Because we've got to start there, because, look.
That's a hormone that transports sugar in your bloods to your cells in your body.
Yeah. Via the what?
Via the bloodstream.
Yeah, absolutely. And, insulin's a hormone made by the pancreas.
Yes. So the irony is this. I'm going to cut you out here because I know it's going to be one of your points, but I'm going to cut you out. But the irony is this, is that if your insulin levels are raised for an extended period of time, your pancreas will continue to produce insulin, which then leads to things like type 2 diabetes and stuff.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And obviously this is where you get your energy from. So now, looking from another angle, God rest her soul, my ex-wife who died because her pancreas gave way, gave in, however you want to describe it, was an alcoholic. So you can see how important the pancreas is. Mm-hmm. You've got to look after it. And there are certain things you can do to look after it, which we will get to. So, but yeah, as you say, it's all about the bloodstream because we need glucose. And obviously once it's it then goes off to the bloodstream, and it's what it feeds all the cells. You know, we talk about the muscles, fat, liver, everything, and we need energy in every cell. So when you're bouncing around, that's exactly what's happened. Like a bit like you bouncing on your gym ball. Now, glucose comes from where? Basically, what causes you to have glucose?
Well, the foods that we're eating.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So carbohydrates that we consume, anything like that.
Yeah. So do we have to watch what we eat?
Most definitely we do. Yeah, most definitely. And if you are predisposed, you certainly want to have a tight rein in on your eating habits. That's for sure. And if you experience things like, for example, hyperglycemia or hypoglycemia, which is either too much or too little sugar, respectively. I used to get hypoglycemia. So if I didn't eat every 3 hours, I would get the Jimmy Jakes, also like that. So I was what you probably could have classed as pre-diabetic to some extent. So you got to be careful, and that for those reasons you want to make sure that you are watching your food. Yeah,
because the liver also makes glucose in times of need. So when you're fasting.
Yes.
Okay, you probably haven't. You've had a break of not having any food, and the body needs to keep producing glucose. Right, for obvious reasons. And now blood glucose is also known as blood sugar. So you might hear someone call it that. And the levels will rise after you've eaten a meal. And and then your pancreas will turn it into insulin, and that will then go into the bloodstream, and then go off to all the cells and muscles and everything. So,
how many cells do we have?
Sorry.
And I asked the question because I want to highlight the importance of this. Is how many cells do we have that all that sugar needs to get to?
Billions.
Approximately.
Billions.
Yeah, 30 to 50,
8 billion or something. I don't know.
30 to 50 trillion cells.
Oh, there you go. I didn't think it was as many as that, but a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
A lot.
You can't. I'll tell you what. Although we research this stuff, you can't remember all of it. It's just so vast. It's unbelievable. So
I say 30 to 50 because some people will say 50 trillion, and some people will say around 30 trillion cells. But nevertheless, what's 20 trillion when you're working in trillions, right?
So, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So, okay. So, what is insulin resistance again? It's basically when the body can't handle. Is that right? It can't handle.
When it's not able to take the sugar from the blood and transport it into the cells.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that's when you get a buildup of sugars, blood sugars in the blood, and a lot of people hear this term, and this is becoming more and more recognizable, is the metabolic syndrome, which is another word for it. Metabolic syndrome. So this is when you have insulin resistance.
Oh, excuse me. Fouled again.
Yeah. So you either get regular peaks or troughs in your energy levels because of your insulin, your body's sensitivity or resistance, I should say, to insulin. Yeah. And this is one of the reasons why eating clean food is key to it, because it helps your body to combat that resistance or to overcome the resistance to insulin in your body.
Yeah.
By managing the sugars that you're taking in.
So, do you know who is more likely to get insulin resistance or become pre-diabetic?
Obese people, folks that are obese. Yeah. People that are under a lot of stress.
Yeah, chronic stress is a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. People that have got cholesterol problems. Yeah. That's also another, because by being insulin resistant, it can also lead to high cholesterol levels as well.
Yeah.
Or blood pressure problems, that kind of stuff. So
And if you lead a sedentary life, in other words, you don't make physical activity your friend. Your friend. You need to exercise, albeit you haven't got to go berserk. Right? I think when we mention physical exercise, people seem to think that you've got to go out and train for the marathon and all that type of thing.
Yeah,
that's not what it means.
If you train 10 to 30 minutes a day, if you're training 30 minutes 3 times a day, that's sufficient to get started. I mean, it's not 3 times a day,
3 times a week. Yeah, I'd say 3 times a day. I'd see get off of that.
Yeah, so, 10 to 30 minutes a day, 3 to 4 days a week. That's enough to get started. That's more than enough. Yeah. Then once you get into the habit and the flow of things, then you can increase the ante if you want to a little bit and start to train a little bit more frequently. Maybe increase the length of the duration of your workouts, but don't go crazy in the beginning. Because if you are struggling with insulin sensitivity or insulin resistance, your body's again is not going to be able to manage those blood sugars those blood glucose in your bloodstream, all right, efficiently enough. Then you go crazy and you start training like a bat out of hell, all right, and now your body goes into shock in many ways, on many levels and many platforms within the system, goes into shock, and now the body has to struggle even more in order to be able to control those insulin levels, and the whole thing becomes a vicious circle. So just take it easy in the beginning.
Yeah, I think any change you've got to do gradually. Now, I'm not talking about giving up drugs, alcohol, or cigarettes or anything like that. That's a different ballgame. But when we're talking about lifestyle factors, you know, you don't want, as you say, you don't want to shock the system. You want to ease into it and change gradually.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise it's just not going to work. You're just going to do it too fast and get bored and stop.
Well, yeah. That's also the other factor, isn't it? Is that people become frustrated with it, and because they go so quickly into it, and they get into it so fast, and they don't measure themselves. They don't take it easy to begin with. That they become frustrated with the process because all they feel is pain all the time.
Yeah,
they're not actually enjoying anything. Yeah, and it becomes a sacrifice, right? It's like I saw a fantastic saying just now earlier on LinkedIn. It was like along the lines of actually go there right now because it was really, in terms of a psychology factor, it was a really poignant saying. Exercise is a celebration of what you can do, not a punishment for what you ate.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of people think it is a punishment. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And this is why when they start exercising, they immediately become frustrated with the process because they want to continue eating what they enjoy eating, thinking that the exercise is going to help them to lose what they've put on through the eating habits that they have, and they're not realizing that the two are married together. So yeah,
absolutely. I mean, look, for me, if I want to stay energized all day, do you know the biggest factor? And I know it's not about this call, is sleep. If I get my sleep patterns right, everything seems to fall into place. If I don't, then everything goes haywire.
Everything starts going potty. Yeah.
So how common is being a pre-diabetic? How many people do you think are? We don't know the true numbers, obviously.
Well, I'm going to use the US here because the US is pretty much the only real country that really does statistics on these kinds of things. Really, I mean,
because they've got so many.
Yeah, but if 1 in 3, so you're looking at around about 60 million Americans are.
It's 84 million. 84 million, they think, and that's what they estimate. I probably think it's more. Here, look, it's not as bad here, but that doesn't mean to say we can't rest on our laurels because I think we're 1 in 9, was it?
No, the UK
about 1 in 9, about 7 million people. Yeah, but again, you can fudge figures, you can get it wrong. So it's a lot of people, and the bottom line is for everyone in the Western world, because I can't tell you about the Eastern world, but everyone in the Western world needs to pay attention and look at their lifestyle factors.
Yes, certainly. You know? Yeah.
So, because I don't want type 2 diabetes, I don't tell you now.
Well, and it's so easy in today's modern life in order to develop the symptoms and to pick it up as a lifestyle condition and disease. It's so easy.
Yeah,
because it's just so easy to have food readily available for you that's pre-made, is processed, is packaged, and all of these types of foods are just going to be, they're so high in sugars so that they taste better and also they preserve better in many instances.
We're going back down to the food scientists again.
Who
are paid to make that processed shepherd's pie or whatever it may be.
Just tastes good.
So that you go, wow, this is great. I'm going to have this again next week. It will taste great. Well, not always. It will, most of them will taste great, and that's because these people have got to it and they want you to buy it again.
Isn't that so ironic as well? They pay food scientists who study to help people with their food habits, and as nutritionists and things like this, they're paying those people to basically make you sick.
Yeah. Now, if there are any food scientists out there that are actually doing a great job and trying to do things healthy, then you've got my full support. But
of course.
Not the impression I get from the food industry. So I don't know. But now,
I say this is not just from the people that are employed directly from the food manufacturers. Okay, if you look at the literature in many nutritional courses, or I don't have to look at the literature because I just listen to them talking. And when you listen to a nutritionist or dietitian talking, you think to yourself, really, in many cases, not in all cases, obviously, but from my own personal experience, just listening to people talking, and a lot of that is to do with people that work in the Middle East. And I don't know how different it is, maybe in the US or the UK and Germany and stuff like that. But these people studied in institutions that have material that come from those countries. And the information that they're putting out there to people is really way off in many instances. It really is.
Yeah.
And so I look at it from that perspective as well. These people, they think that they're doing good, but they're not really, unfortunately.
Yeah. Now, also, obviously, we've got to think genetically as well, because everyone has parents, sisters, brothers, and we don't know what that person is like physically, mentally, healthily, and the problems could come from that. But it seems like the most likely factor for most people is lifestyle factors,
Yeah.
and so you can always go to a doctor and get tested. If you can find one, who'll actually see you. They normally end up sending you to a nurse anyway. But doctors won't see anyone face to face, will they? Not at the moment. But the nurse is allowed to.
Mask to mask.
Yeah. So, but you can go and have tests. I'm not going to go into any technical details, but you can test for diabetes and high blood pressure and all these types of things. So if you're concerned, or you're ready to make a change and you want to make sure before you start, what's your exact position? But there are also when we're talking about being diabetic, okay, then there are other things that can cause it. And if you've got problems with your heart or you've had a stroke, then you're maybe 15 times more likely, to be pre-diabetic or diabetic. So, and also when you're talking about reproductivity, we're talking about PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome, which is quite
serious.
Quite serious.
It's also very prevalent. A lot more than people think.
Yeah. And certain ethnic groups are more liable to be diabetic as well. And so I'm not going to go into those. If you're interested, you can find that out. But and you mentioned metabolic syndrome earlier,
which is basically what we're talking about now.
Yeah, it is basically, but it's a combination more than anything, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's more than one.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the same people that had problems with our last 2 years. So that will give you a clue. If you've got metabolic syndrome, then you could well in serious trouble. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know they've got it. But if your waistline is over 40 inches, and you're overweight or obese, then and you don't exercise, then you probably want to put yourself in that group mentally so that you can come out of it.
Well, that and the symptoms of hypoglycemia and hypoglycemia, which I spoke about earlier.
Yeah.
If you're experiencing that on a daily basis, I would regularly advise you. I mean, not regularly, but I would advise you to go and have yourself tested.
It's always worth it. It's always worth it. But even people with lethargy, tiredness, exhaustion, there's a reason for you feeling like that or being like that. So again, look, go and see your doctor. Go and get yourself tested for diabetes and things like that. So they'll know, because they're good at, and I'm not being funny here, but doctors do know where to send people for testing and that, and what to test them for. And that could be a lifesaver.
Yeah.
The other things you've got to think about is, I'm not going to go into medicines because we're not going to go down that route, but certain medicines will make you more liable to be pre-diabetic. If you've got a hormonal disorder, another one, and sleep problems, again, can cause you problems in that area. Something like sleep apnea. Okay, so there are lots of different things. Family history, ethnicity, whatever it is.
Ethnicity.
Yeah, can't ever pronounce it. So, but the lifestyle risk factors are stuff we're talking about here, and I just say that I think it's important that you take a look at your own life, take a look at what you're doing day by day, and one other thing I wanted to mention about excess weight, and it's something that we talk about all the time, and that is inflammation. Okay.
Yeah.
Because if you look at your body and you've got belly fat makes hormones and other things as well, and can contribute to chronic, long-lasting inflammation. All right, so very, very important, and it affects your insulin. You're more liable to be type 2 diabetes or have cardiovascular disease. So, and again, if you've got excess weight. So, and then you're talking about fatty liver disease and things like that. Now, you can change this week, right? You can completely change everything around as quick as you want to change it round. If it comes to physical activity, you can change that round easily.
Yeah, instantly.
Today,
And while you're listening and watching this, get up off your backside and start doing some jogging on the spot or something like that. That while you're watching this, that gets you started.
Absolutely. The other thing, for symptoms and things like that, I mentioned things like lethargy and that, but also look at the colour of your skin. If you have any darkened skin under your armpit and things like that, could be a sign. Also on the back and the sides of the neck and things like that. It could be that you are pre-diabetic. So again, if you spot anything that's not right, go to a doctor. Okay, or at least a medical professional of some substantive level.
Yeah.
So,
well, if you've started to get spots under your armpits or at the back of your neck and you haven't gone to have it checked, then you got to ask yourself the question, why not? So go.
The other thing is that about your glucose levels and being pre-diabetic is it can affect your eyes. We've known of people with diabetes that go blind.
Yeah.
It can lead to retinopathy. So the old retina. So again, pay attention to it. It's really, really important. You do it at your own risk if you don't bother. And so let's end up by saying, how can we prevent or reverse insulin resistance and pre-diabetes? So just in summary, what would you do, Warren?
If it was me or for a client of mine or anybody that I know personally that was willing to follow my guidelines, I'd say we've touched on this already. Get more sleep more frequently. Your body needs that rest time in order for the body to heal and recover. Okay, it's imperative, and for the insulin levels to be start to regulate more consistently. Eat cleaner foods, but not just eat cleaner foods, but also look at more protein and fiber intake into your body, more specifically. All right, and in particular fiber. Good quality, healthy fibers into your system is going to help your body to regulate your blood sugar levels a lot smoother, a lot easier. And a very simple thing to start consuming is, for example, oats. If you get rolled oats.
I do that every day.
Yeah, I eat oats every single morning. And if I don't have it in the morning, I typically have it. I have a small bowl in the evening, but I eat oats every day, basically. But the other thing is that you also want to perhaps look at not just losing fat, but through exercising, just get yourself to the point where you can get through a day where you're not feeling those slumps of energy.
Yeah.
So and exercising is going to help you get to that. You're not going to get there without exercising or doing some form of exercise activity. So by losing the fat, doing the exercise, eating the more protein, more fiber in your diet, and then you're going to start, when you can get to a time when you feel that you're not getting those slumps in your day as much or at all, then you're on the road to reversing that insulin resistance. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned about fiber, on similar type of thing, but a low carbohydrate and or ketogenic diet. They can work, or just
Yeah.
very low calorie diet. And then I mean, in really bad circumstances, you could have weight loss surgery. But again, you'd have to do that with obviously for a professional.
Yeah, I have a client who did that recently. She's not a coaching client of mine. No, she's not a training coaching client. We do other coaching, and she went and had her stomach worked on.
Yeah.
Without talking to me, she just told me that she was having it done. I was like, oh, okay. I think she was too scared to tell me about it in advance because she knows my history. So yeah. But some people want to take that option because it is just quicker, so I understand.
I mean, with the old belly fat, I mean, we're talking about visceral fat, which really affects all the things like the liver. It all sort of affects the heart and everything. It's a build-up of crap in your body, right? So that's one of the reasons you've got to look at maybe changing your lifestyle. But I would always suggest people make a plan about what they want to do. Then once they start instigating things, track their progress. Track your progress maybe once a week. Don't have to do it every day, but you can make a note in a food diary what you're eating every day, so you can go back and look at it. And the third thing is getting a support from a healthcare professional, family or friend, or someone who's intelligent, who's not going to send you down the wrong route and everything, and help you make those lifestyle changes. But I wouldn't suggest sharing it with everyone unless you're confident in your own ability to do it, because there's a lot of people out there will try and put you off.
Yeah.
And you've got to pay attention to people that either know what they're talking about or are completely supportive.
And unfortunately, many times it's the people that are closest to you that end up trying to put you off making changes like this.
Yeah.
Or they give you bad advice.
Yeah. Yeah. So
just another thing in terms of eating is also look to add more spices and herbs to your recipes as well, your cooking too, if you don't already. There's many health related benefits from spices and herbs in terms of regulating the functioning of the body and your metabolism and things like this. So it's just explore using spices, herbs in your cooking as well, if you're not already. Then it also, by using spices and herbs, it helps with flavoring healthy food, for example. So if you do decide to go down a healthier food option route, okay, by adding herbs and spices to your cooking, it just adds more flavor to those foods as well. Because very often for many people, especially in the beginning, eating healthy food is it's like eating, they say it's like eating sawdust, it's like eating rabbit food and this and that, because their taste buds are so used to all the sugar that they've been eating for so many years that when they go clean, their taste buds cannot, it's just their brain, the connection it's not happening yet. Over time that happens, but to expedite that change in your connection to your brain so that the brain goes, oh, this is nice, is add more herbs and spices to your cooking. So even for salads and things like that, you can add additional herbs to that, which just punches the flavors for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll mention one last thing because I think it's quite important in this current climate. I mean, I can only talk about the UK, but and that is the cost of everything.
Okay, yeah.
Very big challenge at the moment. Things are going up. Petrol's going through the roof, and I'm sure food is as well. So it's something you probably need to sit down and think about how you're going to do it.
That's everywhere.
Yeah, but you probably need to shop around a little bit, and and not necessarily go to that expensive supermarket. Maybe go to one of the German ones, because they're a lot of in the UK. A lot of them are much cheaper.
Like Lidl or what?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even here, I mean, they did price comparisons to Hungary and Italy for Lidl and other European countries, Austria and that, and it works out that it's actually quite cheaper here than it is in many of the other countries, except for certain food items.
Yeah.
But food overall is becoming more expensive. And I read not a report recently, but it was like it was a conversation. I read a transcript from a conversation recently, and they are already talking about delivery issues with regards to certain food groups.
Yeah.
Timeframes by which foods supermarkets are having to wait for certain foods to arrive because of a lack of supply. And we're not talking about freedom convoys and all that stuff. Okay. We're talking about actual, foods that are not available in many cases in many places because there's just not enough supply for the food anymore. So there is an issue that's starting to arise, and I think it's not everywhere yet, but it is happening, and I think it's starting to spread. Where this is also again, we're looking at it here, and I think this is a slight sidebar, but something that I think everybody should really start considering is growing your own stuff, your own vegetables, your own fruits. If you have the space, start to explore that. Because from what I can see and from what I'm hearing, is that the delivery line, or what's the word I'm looking for? Help me here, Paul. Yeah, the
logistics of moving
and everything like that comes with food, and being able to buy food from the stores is becoming more and more difficult. And it's going to become more and more costly as a result of that.
Well, I'd like to say that I did have some blueberries from Chile today.
Oh wow! a lot of air miles for those blueberries. A lot of air miles for those blueberries, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, sorry, Tesco points.
Well, it's like I heard once before, and I thought this was insane. I heard that South Africa produces more tulips for the Dutch market than
the Netherlands
does.
So does Wales, and Wales is I think they grow about a week before Holland.
But then they're transported to the Netherlands.
I don't know about that.
That's for the Dutch market.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's crazy.
Yeah, they all go to Amsterdam though, don't they?
Yeah. All go to Amsterdam.
Right, we're gonna end. If you got any questions about what we've been talking about, insulin resistance or pre-diabetics or diabetes or anything like that, please ask, and we'll try our best to answer them. And I
have a question for everybody.
Oh, not for me. That's good.
No, I have a question for all of you, and I'd like you to send us your feedback. What you think personally? Can insulin resistance be reversed? In other words, can it be cured? Can it be overcome?
I nearly answered that then.
Yeah, no. let the viewers go do some research for themselves and come back with an answer if they don't.
Yeah, because we're on podcasts, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook,
we're all over the place.
Rumble, another one.
Yet we're nowhere.
Yes. On Twitter, LinkedIn. So our audience is wide and diverse and very intelligent. So well, we have to have an intelligent audience because I'm not.
What are you about up to?
Right, we got to go. We're at eating time up here. Have a fantastic week, everyone, and we'll speak again soon.
Share this message, and we look forward to your feedback. Remember the question: Can insulin resistance be overcome permanently?
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Take care.
See ya. Bye.